Hello,
Hello,
Astrea.
Jade.
Ink Fox and Paper Tiger continues with part two of Poppy Opossum.
The second third.
Today we read chapter 6 to the end. Would you like to take us through chapter 6?
Yes. So, chapter 6, we're both kind of building from the aftermath of chapter 5. Poppy is having difficulty with her daughter Lily. Quick recap of 5. Our possum protagonist destroyed a dragon, or at least attempted to. Has a lot more questions about stuff. We found out that she's weaker than she projects. Now she's trying to go about her daily business, but events seem to be conspiring to get her more involved in local politics. She's been invited to see the Queen.
We love Kit Darling so much.
She's so cute.
She's so fucking cute. And on page 3 of chapter 6, uh, it's when they begin to lay on some not so subtle hints. It's like the
Yeah,
letter is signed love.
yeah.
And it's scented. It's like, and I don't remember where it is, but like somebody points out that Poppy comes back from the castle with different bandages than she went there with. I don't remember which chapter that was in, but it does happen. I was like,
Yeah, no.
am I just being a furry about this, or are they going for? Okay, yeah, they're going for that.
Yeah, no. Yes, which sets up sort of one of the recurring gags I really like in this, which is that Petunia, 100% believes that Poppy and the Queen are definitely dating, which would come as a surprise to Poppy, maybe not the Queen, and sets up our gang, and because she has 5 VIP passes, Poppy does, to go to this big royal gala where the Queen's sister, who is apparently some kind of double queen,
The High Queen, the extra queen.
yes, is going to be making an appearance at a festival.
A festival that Kit Darling is entirely unprepared for because she has spent her days in her laboratory doing more and more tests on cancerous tissue.
Using the god blood that she got last chapter.
Strongly implying that she did sign that deal after all.
There's a couple bits of these pages I really like. That the festival has this horrible float.
Why is he there?
Why is he there? Well, because it's supposed to be, showing past royalty and stuff.
Okay.
I guess. Nobody likes the balloon. I don't like the balloon.
I don't like the balloon. I sure as hell don't.
Details of Kit's lab. I love how her glasses dematerialize because they're magic.
I also love that you can see on page 5, you can see her fake lash falling off because she's been there for so long.
Yeah. Oh my god.
This poor baby.
Yeah, she's trying so hard. And of course, Friedrich goes, I'm going to ignore the fact that you took 3 minutes to say a 5-word sentence. Please just get ready, Your Highness.
Oh my god.
Friedrich. The guy's so dead.
Who among us hasn't done 11-hour lab days or longer?
Yeah,
I haven't. Oh, this just takes me back to some terrible moments.
Yeah, definitely don't think of I'm definitely not thinking of the time I got an hour of sleep before finals presentation back in my art student days.
Oh yeah, some of my darkest moments were during my lab days. But let's move on, shall we? As the gang amass at the city gate for the party or for the festival, we have this adorable thing on page 8 with Petunia's outfit and all the prices of each thing she's wearing. Yeah, the Michon boater hat, 5,000 nibbles. The Tearstone earrings, 15,000 nibbles. The Poochie handbag, 12,300. And then this is immediately followed by Boris's cap from chapter 2. Worn scarf, stolen probably. No underwear, free. And then you have Halia in the background doing her jazz wings.
Yeah. Holly suddenly becomes a character in this chapter.
This is an amazing bit. Which page was it? Page 4, where Mary dejectively says, why not? Holly is a background character and she got invited, which is a fun fourth wall break, except that Holly seems to have taken that remark personally and is just in the background doing gags for this whole chapter, which I thought was really funny. Like in the very next panel there, you could see her peeking behind the speech balloon.
Oh, I didn't even notice that bit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really clever.
It seems to be making an attempt to simplify the backgrounds a little bit in most of the shots.
A little bit. The
Yeah.
backgrounds are really elaborate. It's important to. This is just a comics thing. Period. Not every panel needs to have a background.
Oh yeah,
It's
totally.
it's okay if a panel is just an abstract thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is less of a criticism and more I'm trying to pay attention to sort of the arc of how the art and the comic is going.
Uh-huh.
Because this is sort of something that is starting to be, that especially with the next chapter, becomes increasingly apparent.
I really love, like, we have the bit with Petunia thinking that Poppy and the Queen are dating. And it's this chapter, I think, that really shows the contrast between Petunia and Poppy, because, like, one is a deeply neurotic, yet otherwise totally secure bachelorette, and the other is a single mom with a literal heart condition that is somehow chill as hell, and yet these two bounce off each other amazingly.
Yeah, they have
They have almost nothing in common.
and they're just such a great pair to bounce off each other.
Yeah.
Like all the stuff that Petunia is being put through because of Poppy and also herself. I think basically all of her problems are from herself.
Yeah. I also love this bit on page 11 where she and Mary are trading hot goss. It's like really anything that involves Mary I like, but the fact that these two get to just be catty cat bitches
Yes,
at each other.
and in the category of all ages comic, them basically arguing about who would be on top.
Even in their fantasy, Friedrich has to be the step stool.
Yes, Friedrich is literally the step stool.
Because Kid is like 3'0". It's so
Yes.
funny.
Like Poppy's the submissive type.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You notice also on this panel they've drawn the lips to be a bit more visceral and a little bit ugly.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like, how close and uncomfortable can we make this?
And then Petunia's combination of terrified and seemingly turned on.
Oh, God.
Yeah, what you talking about? Poppy making out with Queen Darling.
I love politics.
Oh, cool. I love politics.
I fucking love these three girls. They're so great. Oh, I kind of wish the comic was just about them. Moving on to page 12, we have Kit being ready for the ball and also extremely not ready for the ball as she's so tired she almost falls down the stairs.
Been there.
Oh God, I've been there so much.
Yeah.
Also, I mentioned last time, but Kit and Friedrich's costumes in this chapter were designed by Kanesha C. Bryant, who's also a comic artist. I don't know if anybody else's outfits were. I know that those two were specifically, and I think they both look very cute.
I know there were like characters who didn't appear who were purchased adopts who never actually made it into the comic. I don't know if any purchased adopts were in the comic at this point.
Which, I mean, like some viewers might not know, in furry culture, adoptables are like character designs that you can just buy from another artist that they're specifically designed to be sold, not really written with anything in mind. Friedrich
and Poppy are very opposite in many ways, except both of them kind of serve a similar role to Kit.
Yeah.
Right? Because Friedrich is catching Kit as she's falling down the stairs.
Yeah.
Poppy is clearly bracing to catch Kit while she's falling down the stairs.
Yeah. Also, there's this throwaway line of, Your Majesty, please be more careful on the stairs. We don't want another accident this month now, do we? Yes, you're right. Poor Gustav. Implying that Gustav was had some kind of disaster and now is actually dead.
The coffee gags are Yeah, the
Yeah,
she's drinking a pot. She is drinking out of the pot. She is not drinking a cup.
yeah.
And
I
there is,
can't help but wonder if this particular like composition was ripped from some old magazine illustration. It kind of looks like that.
yeah, this does look like an ad. And multiple empty pots of coffee discarded to the side of her as if she has just been hitting these.
Yeah.
They also say that her family has an airplane.
An aeroplane,
An
you know,
airplane.
the big metal flying machine. Aeroplanes are a thing in this universe. And also, like, I noticed the lagomorphotomatons in the
Yes.
background more. I can't help but the fact that those are so present. I can't help but wonder if those were meant to be used later in the story. But
They they're
we'll get to that.
foreshadowing something. We'll get to that. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Uh
It just makes me think of. Have you ever played Dishonored?
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Do you know Dishonored 2 and the Clockwork Soldiers? One of my favorite parts of the Dishonored series. I'm just a sucker for expensive death machines that rich people seem to own.
I mean, that's just called real life.
Yeah, true, but like they don't usually walk and talk, do they?
No.
No. Page 14 shows us that Lily is still going through it. And this incredible two-panel thing of Lily, don't be rude. At least give the queen a nice smile. Lily.
Yes, Lily is having none of it. Lily is having none of anything in this chapter because she's still upset at her mom.
Yeah,
Because,
and Lily is finally a character.
yes, because she now understands how much bigotry there is against possums, and also that she's going to die at 30.
Yeah, and how few possibilities there actually are in her life, which is dark, but you know, it's something for the character to do instead of just saying cute things every now and again. I like that a lot.
It's very realistic to child development too, I think. Like the point where you start to at least get some glimmer of this. Poppy keeps insisting, possibly facetiously, she went through the same phase at the same time. I'm not sure. I think is directly contradicted later with the actual facts we find out about Poppy's life.
Right.
Um, unless she's referring to the same thing being the death of her parents.
Perhaps. Why don't you take us through the next few pages?
We find out why Poppy has changed her mind to become the possum ambassador, something she previously turned down because it wasn't a responsibility she thought she could do. She didn't want to be responsible for people, but we find that she has something. She takes heart medication. The thing is, it was created by Kit, and Poppy literally owes her life to Kit. And then she hands Kit the pill and then eats the pill out of Kit's finger. Looking like she's like,
And Petunia sees this immediately.
yes, immediately.
Oh, Your Highness, it's been so long. Look at you. You've gotten so big. And Kit just politely says, I'm not good with faces.
Yes, Mr. Quibble has done the old guy thing of, I remember you.
Yeah. And Kit
And
literally cannot see his face. So,
yeah.
and then on page 18, there are two rather chilling things that Kit's conversation points out. One is that Petunia sounds just like her mom, Rose Ronnie.
Yeah.
Which sets Petunia off, one thing. And another thing, if we look carefully at Mr. Quibble's face, you can see there's a scar underneath his mustache.
Those look like cat scratches on his scar. There is a thing notably that when Petunia yells she's nothing like that woman, well, we've had gags where somebody shrieking could break stuff before. It does Friedrich gets a nosebleed from the force of the yell, which I think is which is with which other stuff later in this chapter is Petunia is not just a regular gal.
No. Although you probably added that up by now, is that there's something weird about Petunia Quibble and her vow of pacifism, that she is holding back way more than just terrifying anxiety, although that is certainly part of it.
I think literally every character in this series has some horrifying detail in their past that's supposed to be a later plot twist.
Except perhaps Mary, who just seems to be Mary.
Oh, nope.
Really?
Yeah,
Weird.
yeah.
Okay,
Again.
cool.
Well, that's not this section, but
Yeah.
yeah, no.
There's also page 19 where Kit says, "I don't think your friend is a real nun. What tipped you off?" "Well, I see the composition of her stains." And Petunia says, she's just saturated with booze." "Oh, thank God."
Petunia being actually worried about it is very
worried that
funny.
worried that Mary might have worn a cum-drenched jacket to the
Yes.
table. Oh my God. Yeah,
Uh,
this is all ages, right? All
all
ages.
ages, all
Yeah.
ages comic.
I don't know. It baffles me, but who cares?
Yeah,
It's
no.
not getting adapted into a movie or a TV show anytime soon, so it doesn't really matter.
I don't know. Maybe Poppy will get finished in a cartoon years after the fact. It's happened before.
Maybe they'll get a movie on Adult Swim. We have on page 20, referencing what I said about Holly as being a background character. She literally walks from the background to the foreground in these 3 panels,
Yeah.
which ends the joke, which I thought was really funny.
Because Kit says she needs an assistant, and Halia is perfect for the job.
That takes us to page 21 with the Canopy Fruit Bearing Festival, which is the big shindig going on, featuring delicious food, games and prizes, lifetime bans, and giant bugs.
Which is the first thing that like breaks through Lily's icy exterior is
Yeah.
she gets to ride the cricket.
I do like the giant roly poly that she gets to roll around.
The giant roly-poly is
It's
very
really
cute and very
cute.
fun.
We have page 23, which I want to point out something about page 23. A couple of things, actually. When you're making comics, double page spreads are really, really hard because in a physical book, at least, you need to accommodate for the seam that will exist in the binding. So whatever you compose will have to fit nicely on 2 pages. Uh, in this case, though, because it's a webcomic, there's no reason to do a double page spread. In fact, it's a disadvantage because it takes up more space and it will probably break whatever vertical format you're using. So this is just to show off. This is a well-earned flex. Also, we see that aeroplane is not an airplane, but a literal flying geometric plane
Yes.
suspended in the air, which is a fun subversion.
There's a lot of great little design details here too. There are these symmetrical spheres that have spires going in both directions and poking out holes on the top and bottom. This thing descends through the sky seemingly, and the other side of the hole is blue.
Not pink, which is
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Uh, Suggesting that it came from somewhere very, very far away. Uh,
yeah.
there's the fun throwaway line of "no slip Slylock,"
No,
like Slylock Fox, the newspaper
I
comic.
guess like it's obvious.
Is he canon with this universe? I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, it's Mary.
Um,
She breaks the
it's
fourth wall.
I mean, the fourth wall breaks an awful fucking lot in this comic.
Yeah.
The design of the aeroplane and the it coming in through a blue hyperspace gate gives me really big Homeworld vibes. If you've ever seen or played
Oh,
Homeworld,
Homeworld. Yeah.
yeah, just like I can picture it making the exact same noise, like that distinctive noise that the engines make in Homeworld. That's immediately what my mind went to.
Yeah. When you put it that way, I can totally see that. Especially like one of the features of Homeworld was that it had intentionally non-aerodynamic designs for most of the ships.
Let's see. There's a bit here. Arthur Ciccadino has been invited to the Queen's table for this festivity. Unexpected. There was a throwaway gag at the end of that one chapter where Poppy had stomped his flower bed, so she owes him 9 nibbles. And
Yes.
and once she does it, he's totally chipper and cordial again. Yeah, all the atmosphere disappears. Which I think is like part of his menace that he's actually quite good at being polite.
He's just forgiving enough. in
Yeah.
very key circumstances. A big thing he does is he implies that if you deal squarely with him, he'll deal squarely with you, which is not true.
Right. But it's important that the illusion be maintained.
Yes, Valente looking terrifying with the metal beak.
Yeah, but also just as cool, I gotta say. Valente looks
Yeah.
just as cool. Halia, you're so reliable. Your plumage looks real sharp today, Halia. You could spend the night at my place, Milo.
Yeah. It was yeah. I love who the hell is Milo? Which is this is Halia talking about this. She said,
Yeah.
yeah, she's saying that Valente is said you could spend the night at my place, Milo, to her, and she apparently came out as trans to Valente.
Yeah.
Hey, and I
It took me a sec to parse these sentences because, like, wait, did I miss who Milo is? I was like, no, Milo just got introduced here.
yes, it's and who the hell is Milo?
I asked
I
myself
asked.
that same question for 20 years of my life.
Oh boy, oh boy,
So
big
Valente is
feels.
gay, and
Yeah,
Halia is trans, and the story will just bulldoze over these things because it's like, yeah, yeah, it's just
yeah,
part of the world. That's one thing that I appreciate is that despite all the horrible like racial stuff that this comic does not shy away from, gender and sexuality are totally normal. No one cares.
yeah. No, nobody gives a
So
shit
nobody gives a shit.
except,
It's not a big deal.
well, except Valente is not into women.
Yeah, that's all there
But
is.
yeah, I think that's really. I think it's also really funny that he's evil, but also he like, well, you are definitely a girl, so I'm not into you.
It's really mean on one end. It's really validating on the other end.
Yeah,
I cannot help but wonder, like the fact that this chapter especially is ramping up all the gender and sexuality overtones. I can't help but wonder if that was intentionally like ramped up to spite people who complained about the comic, because like
yeah.
Everett mentioned that in an author's note a while back. I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm down for that approach. just make it gayer and gayer and gayer as you go
And it
along."
does get gayer and gayer as it goes
It
along.
does. This doesn't stop here either.
They have a fucking Polly character later too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool. So page 28. There's a couple of things worth mentioning here. Do you want to cover them or should I?
Yeah. I can do this. We're starting to get into the politics, but Poppy being an advisor, which also Chickadino is the prime minister. Poppy has a better looking seat, and not just because Chickadino uses a perch instead of a seat, but it's right next to Kit. Like
Uh-huh.
Chickadino might be the new prime minister, but Poppy is who Kit trusts,
Yeah,
like
Poppy
all
is
the
the
way.
star.
And again, Friedrich's on her other side. Friedrich and Poppy have these parallels again.
Yeah, so only they are in the shot with the queen. Only the
Yes.
possums are in shot with the queen.
And yeah, these next couple pages start establishing. So, hey, Kit's actually serious about this. Also, Kit has made a deal with Chickadino, both giving him political power to be prime minister and also putting their energy resources in with Chickadino. Friedrich instantly tells some subordinate, like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
Hey, get ready.
yeah, something's probably gonna happen." Then the High Queen teleports in.
Yeah,
Uh,
who is vastly more popular. The crowd love to cheer for her, or they give Kit just a few polite
yes,
claps, but they hoot and holler for the queen, Queen Vix Darling,
the introductory panel when we for Vix has this gorgeous composition.
and
We're look
incredible.
we're looking up at her like she is towering above us. We've pretty much always been above Kit, but Vix we are below. She has an incredibly elaborate outfit with, is that like water in her hair bobble? Gardens growing off of her dress. Kit is on a video screen distantly in the background looking dejected. Vix has a scepter with some kind of bonsai that's like floating on a disc. Like it's got a tree on both sides on this flat disc of Earth that's in her globe. It will make sense why I'm calling this out. and also a very shadowy fox lady behind her, and a very sickly fox man, and a close up. Yeah, of course, Vix has a lucky star power. Although this looks less like a star and more like a rose.
Right. I also like how it's not just that there's a miniature star, but despite that, the inside of the ship is very dark, very shadowy.
Yeah,
Uh, it's clearly like the atmosphere is completely different. She is not this royal chamber is not the giggly princess kind of chamber. Vix Darling is all business and all gardening.
and seemingly very dangerous too.
Extremely dangerous. Uh, and we see immediately why that is. It's that this festival is for not just like literal food fruit, but the fruits of life, as mentioned by Eulala in a previous chapter. The harvest power of Grand Flora makes it blossom whenever she wants it to, which is let's unpack this for a second, shall we?
Yes, there's a
Um,
lot. There's a lot.
this might be one of the most overpowered superpowers I've seen anywhere in any piece of fiction. Um, Not just because imagine the political grip you would have on a country if you decided when they ate food, if you could decide if they
Yeah.
had a crop or not. But also with the extra twist in this universe of this is how a lot of people have their children.
Yes.
Uh,
Through the fruit.
imagine the sickening potential for someone to say, "I decide whether you breed or not"
Yeah.
in this universe. Uh, it is at once impressive, terrifying, giveth and taketh away in so many respects. It is an absolutely hideous thing for a single person to have control over. Oh, it's sickening. It's like it's Everett is extremely good at illustrating how things can be beautiful and disgusting at the same time.
And we also every time Vix speaks, it emphasizes her fangs, which are much more prominent. Like they're not cute little fangies; they're predatory. And the contrast to with the joy people are feeling about the fruit, and just how obviously menacing the royal family actually is.
And it also sells that the racial harmony angle that Kit pushes is something that her family shares, but for the opposite reason. It's because they want the locals to be integrated into the empire, not because they don't value racial harmony for any kind of ethical or moral reason. They value it for a practical reason. The less infighting in their sprawling empire, the better.
Yeah.
It's very Roman, actually. The Romans did not particularly care where someone came from as long as they subjugated to the Roman Empire. If you spoke Greek and you were useful, then they wouldn't care.
Do the right rituals to the right places, pay the right taxes, and serve the right fealty, and they really didn't care about any other detail.
The Romans were really weird, but there's a whole podcast about that called "The History of Rome" that I'd really recommend people listen to.
Yes. Apologies.
Anyway, but yes, I am stunned at how well this comic's theme and tone keep carrying. I'm really refreshed. I'm just gonna say this: furry comics aren't usually this good.
Yeah.
Furry comics aren't usually this well written or well detailed.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
Our genre's standards aren't very high.
like, it's not a competition necessarily, but Everett is beating a lot of cartoonists I've seen. Like the layers, the consideration to every fucking panel.
Speaking of panels, we see a close up of Kit's father and her awful stepmother. She has a literal evil stepmother, which I thought was kind of funny.
And also worth noting that during all of this, a sheep whose lucky star power is that the sheep's wool is literally steel wool.
Pharaoh fur, it's called.
Yeah, pharaoh fur. Attempts to assassinate Vix. Poppy's going to leap into action, except it doesn't matter because Vix can make things wither too.
Yeah. Giveth and
And
taketh away.
and can seemingly deactivate lucky star powers.
Yeah. Which is extremely unusual from what we've seen. Lucky Star powers seem to be like their own separate category of magic that isn't easily touched. Also, if you look at page 35, did you notice that Vix's thumb and pinky are exactly the same size, like a paw?
Oh.
She's just less human than the others. She's less
Yes.
anthropomorphized than the others.
And
And
she also
also, and there's a teleporter built into her sleeve.
I I'm not sure it's a teleporter. I think the lucky star power of her gorilla like bodyguard is that he can fit into things.
Oh,
Because he
is
has a
that it?
lucky star that
Oh, that's
gleams
right.
on that
He's
panel.
gleaming too. Okay, that's super impressive.
Yeah. And like
I didn't notice that last time I read
I
this.
didn't notice it till this time because I had just assumed, oh, it's some magic bullshit. But it's like, no, there's a lot of emphasis here on the star, and they mentioned that he's always in a different place, and it doesn't use the teleport effect.
Oh, that's right. That doesn't use the
Yeah,
space warp.
yeah, because the teleport is a very sci-fi, Star Trekky, actually probably more like Homeworld or Battlestar Galactica kind of space bends
Yeah,
around.
very, very wormhole looking effect. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is just the girl's literally in a sleeve
He's
too
just in the
small for
sleep.
him.
He's finally back and about time too.
This really is dubious.
Dubious call. Oh, no one's gonna get dubious
No one's
con.
gonna get
That's a joke. That's a joke just for us.
That's a joke just for us. Hopefully, some of the people who get that joke will listen.
I hope so.
Um,
So, which page does that leave us on? Page
30,
36.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Poppy notes that Kit's sister just killed a guy. We see the mechanics of the fruit, where it is literally some kind of like they're uterus shaped, and there's a and there
There's an umbilical cord and everything.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the function of this because there's a pig and a sheep, and they're cradling the kid in case you didn't get that that's what this worked and how this worked, and then the queen's just like,
And she's
well,
out.
I'm gone. Kit is falling asleep and also stressed out. So stressed.
Yeah, mentioning that people try to assassinate her family all the time just because they're royals. They're
But
strategically valuable. Petunia's like the queen's spoon feeding her right now in front of everyone.
yes, Poppy's getting a spoonful of persimmon pudding.
which which sounds delicious. I
Yeah,
think I'd enjoy persimmon pudding
I
if
think
I could have it.
I'd give persimmon pudding a shot.
I think we cut ahead to the conversation between the stepmother and Kit. The very, I would call this loaded in many ways. Her father's condition has gotten worse, and Kit is the one responsible for engineering the cure, and it's not going well.
Yes, she's getting really, really, really desperate.
Yeah, this is why she overworked herself before this party. The stepmother is prepared to slap Kit with all the force of 1,000 suns, and here comes Papi Opossum, anti-magic field generator, to shake her hand and make it not happen at all.
Poppy getting spirally demented eyes, showing her fangs, and also the carnival prize she won earlier is in her tail that she's been carrying with her tail is getting crushed, just absolutely crushed by the force of her possum tail.
Friedrich lets on that he knows more about Petunia than Petunia lets on.
Petunia is a martial arts master.
And then Friedrich gets ahead of both of us and says, just decides to demonstrate how good Petunia is at martial arts by throwing sand at Poppy's face. And Petunia catches every single grain of sand, which is like something straight out of fucking wuxia films.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Right before Kit's father starts to, I guess, hallucinate and scream.
Kind of the opposite.
Yeah, super lucidity, the doctor
Yeah, he has
calls it.
super lucidity.
Yeah, he
He's got
becomes
a mark.
he becomes far too aware.
Yes, yelling.
Skyhenge activation. He says something like that. Now they've mentioned Skyhenge before. That Skyhenge is like some kind of location. I think Boris says, "I'll knock you all the way to Skyhenge" or something Either way, this is some kind of fit that he's clearly not supposed to be having. When he briefly regains cogence when he talks to Kit and says, "Hello there, little princess," and she introduces him to Poppy, and he says, "You got a new pet possum," which is he he has some very old-fashioned ideas. He's he's from a different time. It's
He's from a different time, although it does mean that briefly Petunia has a brain break from imagining
oh,
uh, Poppy in a collar on a
like a
leash
leash.
in a clearly kink situation, not
Yeah.
a yeah.
Yeah, but this is obviously too much. And then to cap matters, Poppy has the horribly insensitive line, "I have it pretty good. At least I'm not stuck in a chair, I suppose." Which is and that is probably the straw that breaks Kit Darling's back.
Um, Poppy's outbursts, like previously, were always cute, and they usually worked out. They increasingly are not working out as the comic is
Yeah, but
going.
Poppy Opossum wearing her heart on her sleeve means she is actually quite insensitive to the needs of others at key moments.
Yeah.
She does not seem to really pay that much attention, or at least less than she should. Which is strange to me because like she displays real emotional intelligence in lots of places, but then in other places she just drops the ball.
And then she sort of turns around. Kid is walking up the stairs, clearly out of it. She still hasn't slept. She
She
slips
bumps
down the
she
stairs.
bumps she bumps into a character who we'll see in a later chapter.
Yeah.
Uh,
Uh,
So what if I haven't slept in 60 hours and everyone thinks I'm a joke? So what if I can't find a cure for my dad and other people have to sign away their lives for him? So what if I let them turn off the Dragon Bell and dozens of people died and it was all my fault? Which is the first moment we hear that.
yeah.
That's a very dangerous little detail. We did not know that that was her doing, or why.
And also now she slips, and it has a little Freddy's fun fact, Friedrich. I told you to be careful on the
On the
stairs,
stairs,
idiot.
idiot. And then
Which
there's two whole pages where Kit Darling falls down the stairs and just cries her eyes out on national TV. I felt so bad.
oh.
I felt this particular couple of pages really bad. Oh, she's so pathetic.
I agree. I do just have to mention, looking that it's 2016, I told you about the stairs, idiot is definitely a Homestuck reference
Oh yeah,
because
certainly.
yeah.
I warned you about stairs, Kit. I told
Yeah,
you,
I
buddy.
warned you about the stairs yet. It keeps happening. Yes, but yeah, I do feel for her. She's
Oh.
so cute and she's trying so hard. So much less of a bastard than the rest of her family. She genuinely just wants to help and can't help.
And then we have pages 53 to 56. A couple of key things happen here. One, through looking at the reflection in Poppy's eyes, Kit Darling can see her own face for the first time in her life, which I thought was quite touching and quite beautiful.
Yeah.
Uh, Two is that Poppy starts opening up about how difficult it is to actually raise Lily, because she has no idea what she's doing when it gets right down to it. Something that Lily does here.
And Lily, I think, gets a little out of this too, as we see later, because Lily starts softening up to her
Just
mom.
just a bit.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's actually a term for this, but this is a story technique that I like to call the drunk at the party conversation, where two characters find a private moment to open up to each other, no matter what other insanity is going on. They connect to one another deeper than they have, and they might not speak of it ever again. Uh, I really like these moments in stories when we just have a moment to chill and think about it and be honest with each other, and we don't have the obligations of being characters in front of other characters. I find it really sweet. If you've ever played a game called Wander Song, there's a moment like this that I like a lot. But moving on. Why is Mary naked?
Why
It is
is
a
Mary
mystery.
naked? Why'd you take a whole hour just to go pee? Because that's what Petunia said she
Mary,
was doing.
you know this is best behavior by my standards. So she's great, and Mary doesn't appear for much more later in this comic, and I hate that. I wish Mary
Yeah.
had a bit to do in every story, but no, they turn away from her for a bit, and we won't see very much more of her before the comic ends, and that's drag. I love Mary.
And yes, more evidence. Poppy helping Kit down the stairs. Petunia's convinced this is
This is lesbianism. And then
yeah.
when she actually raises this issue, Poppy says, Petunia, come on, she's the queen. And more importantly, what would Poppy's husband think? Oh, I don't have a husband. If I did, don't you think I would have invited him?
Invited him.
So that means
Proposes to Poppy.
wait, no, that's insane. You
Yeah,
got to
yeah,
go on at
yeah.
least 2 dates before you get married. And then it's like the lesbianism just keeps going.
Yeah, yeah. I love that she says, Friedrich, clear out my next week's schedule. I want to go on a 5-day date.
Hey, Lily, if mommy plays her card right, you're gonna have 2 cool moms.
Both, I think it does feel something for Kit, but there is a motivation that she needs to provide for Lily.
That was year 3 of Poppy Opossum.
That was fucking year 3. That was year 3. Calling one thing I'd like to call attention to that I think is one of the funnier that is a funny understated meta gag of this is in any other story that introduces the giant float. That would be an important Chekhov's gun to the chapter, as opposed to just repeatedly scaring Petunia.
It's just a gag.
It's just a gag.
Just a gag.
The year 3 illustration. Well, there is an illustration saying, "Oh yeah, this is year 3," which God, that's a lot of comics for
Right.
3 years. This has every single character who at least like every single semi-named significant character in the comic on one page. And it mentions in the description that's over 130 characters, including some who hadn't appeared in the comic.
And they all stand out. They're all distinct. Everett's
Yeah.
an amazing character designer, and I have no doubt that it's probably one thing they went to school for. But holy fuck. Holy fucking
Jesus.
shit.
Yes. Also, why did you? Also, there is that continuing. You went so hard on a commemorative image.
You didn't need to do this to yourself.
Yeah.
But they did. And that takes us to the Friedrich intermission. And the on the page for the cover, the only author's note is, ha ha, time for plot. Are you ready for plot?
I've noticed as we're going, the story has become more compressed. Like,
yeah.
Which I think is good for it.
I think that's very good. I'm not completely without criticisms of it, but we'll get to those.
Yeah, no. We'll do that. But like, yeah, here where we have an intermission where we're moving very quickly.
Page 1, panel 1, he literally kisses Kit goodnight, which might be the single cutest thing in the series so far, but it's double great because this is genuine affection that it feels like he doesn't need to show. And it also cements that Kit is she's just too much of a darling for the position she's in. Like the fact that someone kisses her goodnight kind of tells you that no, she's not the kind of person who should be here.
The fox ear nightcap that's like 2 regular nightcaps covering her.
It's so cute. It's so cute. It's a fun detail too that on page 2 you can see that Friedrich's shirts are custom patched. He does not just tie off the sleeve like a lot of people would. They're specifically stitched for him. And his wounds apparently still need constant redressing. Even from non-magical medicine, that's kind of strange. Like, how old are these?
Yeah.
I think they say these are several years old, which is odd, isn't it?
That is weird.
Why are they still bleeding?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many things in this world that can hurt you so bad. Or
he does put his body through a lot. It's not surprising that he may come unstitched every now and again. So Friedrich has access to some kind of spiritual secret service. It looks like, where he has to dial in and everything.
He's a member of the Veil and can astrally project to some kind of HQ to talk to a human.
Maggie Lillamoon, who is at first I thought was another stylized monkey character, but no, she's clearly a human. She has no tail. Extremely strange. She's the first and only example we've seen here.
Except the face and the dragon. Humans seem to be deeply tied in with like the ultra mysterious occult stuff. Friedrich, it's hard to tell if it's an astral projection or not, but he does appear to be more possum-sized compared to her than normal-sized as he typically appears in the rest of the comic. And he has been practicing and mastering astral projection for the purpose of both communication and something else. He's getting stronger and stronger about it. There's a mention of his backup plan.
Yeah.
They also mentioned that Poppy is a candidate for someone called the Iron Matron.
Yeah, a name that came up in chapter, I want to say 4. I'm not sure. Like, at this point, I was thinking Iron Matron candidate implies that many people could be the Iron Matron, or
Yeah.
like the incarnation of the Iron Matron, like some kind of Asura.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure how to take that. There's a bit more of that comes out later, but it seems compelling to me.
Yeah.
I feel like there's just not enough detail to form an opinion on it here, though.
Yeah, because this is supposed to be a teaser. You're supposed to start like saying, okay, there's a big picture going on here.
Yeah, teasers and teasers and teasers and teasers, and that is okay. I feel like I need to start talking about this because it's going to
Yes.
become a problem as we keep going through the comic. This is also a problem that One Piece has. If we've talked about how this story is clearly inspired by One Piece. One Piece feels like at a certain point, One Piece is more lore drops and teasers for stuff that's coming up in a decade's time than it is an actual story that you're reading right now.
Yeah.
Which is a big complaint that I have about it. Is that like I know that the large epic scope feels cool and is fascinating, but here we have kind of the reverse of it where it's just too much fucking work for one person to finish. And so
Yeah.
a lot of these strings that we're getting left in front of us just go unpulled. Yeah, and like this is what makes Friedrich's expositing back in chapter 4 feel not great. It feels like it was kind of a waste of time. We learned a lot of stuff about dragons that will only use here and will only apply in that one chapter. I wish that wasn't the case. I understand why it's the case, but like I don't like stories that end up being written this way.
Yeah, and it's also like I think a lot of this is like this is all. So there are large portions of it. Yeah, it's set up for stuff we don't see because this wasn't going to be the last bit of dragons. This was not going to be the last time a
No,
dragon is.
I know, and I don't doubt that, but I'm saying here in the state that the comic is finished in, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we find out, okay, so the reason the possums were smuggling god blood is because they're non-magical, so magic detection methods don't work on them.
Right. Poda is also still in play. She has whisked away 36,000 people, and we don't yet know why. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think we ever learn why.
From my digging, we don't.
Okay, great. And then there's page 9. Let's get real here. All you really need to be concerned with is Canopy's Godblood problem. Run me through that list again, would you? And I just groaned because it's like, Friedrich, honey, you're great at expositing. Hit me with some more pages, will you? I was like, fuck off.
Yeah. There's some details in here too where it's just like some of this stuff with the way it gets explained later could have just been explained there because it's explained more succinctly later in a way that fits in with the narrative. That's like the frustrating thing there is like it's talking about what the possums are doing. We get that later in a way that fits in with the story.
You could see it's not just that the backgrounds on this particular page are simplified. That's fine. It's that this page, more than the others, has finally become more text than image, which is not usually something you want to do in a comic book if you can avoid it. And like I'm just like, I feel like this might be one of the pages where Everett finally realized that they didn't want to draw this much anymore. And I'm not upset about that, but like, there were more efficient ways to do this, and I'm just kind of sad that it didn't go that way.
So yeah, a lot of this could have been like stuff that came up as like the results of it came up too. So much of this is strange because a lot of it is hey, here's this great little detail. Here's this little detail. This detail doesn't really seem like it matters now, but here's an aside. Here's a comment. Here's a thing you see. Uh, and then other times it's yeah, here's just an info dump.
Yeah, and then we get page 10 and 11 with the fairly interesting effect. Lily lets some information slip that she shouldn't have and has to cover her own tracks by wasting what's called a spatial ticket, which interestingly is a temporal ticket. It goes back by 1 minute and rewinds Friedrich's memory to not hear what she said.
Yes, it's just saying, hey, there's time travel in this story.
Yeah, there's time travel, and also like these people referring to the sloppy way they fix the world and keep the status quo going, are not above fixing their mistakes with petty shit, fixing petty mistakes with magic that's way too powerful for it. We also hear the word propheseizure, which is maybe one of my favorite portmanteaus I've ever heard.
Yeah, propheseizure. Yes, yes. Kit's dad, Renard, had a propheseizure.
And on the final page of this chapter has a couple of interesting things. One is that the sky outside in this world,
Yeah,
question mark,
yeah,
is blue,
it's blue.
not pink. Which I'm not sure what the significance of that ever is. Two is that there's a possum on the ceiling who's serving tea. Her gravity is apparently reversed, but the gravity of the teapot is not reversed. It's just a regular
Yeah,
teapot weighed down by gravity, but she walks on the ceiling somehow.
yeah. That's
Also, that she is a possum in this universe.
yes,
Uh, a possum let into this veil of ignorance beyond like this extra universal place, which had a lot of weird implications for me. Does it mean that only possums are able to interact with magic forces outside the veil, being immune to magic and all that? And where the hell is this? Question mark.
yes. Both of the reason the possum is upside down is actually consistent with possums being immune to magic.
Okay, that's what
Is
I
how it
thought it
gets
was
explained
something like
later.
that.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right,
It's a hint at what's going on.
I'll leave that to you when we get there.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a lot of wrapping up to do here at the end of this story. I
Yeah.
worry that that might actually be the case with a lot of comics we read.
Yeah.
Chapter 7, Diplomatic Disunity. Chapter 7 is the penultimate chapter.
Yeah. This is good, but I also noticed stuff is going faster in it. So I sort of started to have less notes because it's establishing a new status quo for Poppy politically.
She's dating Kit Darling, the queen. She has a cell phone.
Yeah, she has a cell phone.
Cell phones are just in this universe now. Who cares? Fuck it. We got pages 6 to 7. I notice Lily gets ignored in a lot of these pages, or perhaps is like just staying out, is just not involved on purpose. It's sad, but it's also maybe that's what she wants right now.
Yeah, she doesn't seem to be actively angry at Poppy anymore.
Yeah, but she's also not participating, which is, something about this. And it's revealed that Kit has a literal bedroom, like a bed the size of a room.
Yeah, and what they're actually doing is Poppy is tossing Kit around like a Nerf ball on the bounciness of the bed. The little Kit drawing here is so fucking cute. I was disarmed by how adorable the euphorically happy Kit getting bounced on the fucking bed. Ah, so cute, so cute. This is so cute.
And then we have page 9, where we meet Lily's going to get a tutor. Who's that lady that Kit bumped into on the staircase last chapter? Mrs. Lamb. I could teach you anything you want to know. Anything? Absolutely. Anything at all. And Lily says, I want to learn how to stop loving my mom for real so I won't feel bad when she dies.
Right to the heart. Right to the heart.
That's a teacher who's out of her depth. Miss Lamb gets the brilliant idea to teach Lily about the arts.
Oh
Beacon
my God.
of the depressed and self-loathing. And I was just like, oh, I'm seen. I am seen.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, wow. A real winter art school feels.
Yep. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
I'm
Everett.
I'm sorry, 17-year-old me. You don't know what you're getting into.
God, 17-year-old me. I know you're making great progress, but you don't understand.
You have page 11 where she says, "Mom, I drew this for you," and Poppy says, "Wow, this looks nothing like me,"
Uh,
which is another example of Poppy Opossum having staggeringly little emotional intelligence in strange moments. I was like,
yeah.
is she getting worse about it? I couldn't tell.
I can't tell, like, is this supposed to be, is she stressed, or is this sort of a Flanderization of Poppy? Because she seemed to be much more perceptive earlier.
It could be a little of each.
Uh, Poppy starts martial arts training.
Yeah,
But, oh,
we
wait.
well, no. First of all, hang on.
Yes, that's
First of
true.
all,
Right.
we have Petunia and Chickadito in these amazing golf sport outfits, which
Yes.
I wanted to scream when I saw
Oh,
them both together. They're so precious.
to call back, these characters keep having new outfits. Poppy has a whole new outfit in this chapter.
Yeah,
Every chapter, she has a new variant of her of an outfit. Every chapter. And yes, there's a new outfit for Chickadino and a new outfit
yeah.
for, for
He looks
Petunia,
like he's
and
about to. He looks like he's about to go on the top deck for a game of shuffleboard. He is directly threatening her with their energy budget because he can do that now. Uh,
and they can
he
get
wants
out.
complete control over their energy supply.
And then she turns around, slaps who she thinks is Chickadino, and slaps Poppy.
Yeah, in this really great 2-point shot where panel 1 is the impact and panel 2 has broken the gutter and gone into the other
Yes,
panel.
yes,
And
and
although because it's Poppy Opossum, a dislocated jaw is like no big deal. She just snaps it back into place,
yeah,
which is funny and gross, true to form.
she then starts doing, intense, seemingly impossible martial arts training.
Tai Chi? Question mark.
She has to sort balls being thrown at her.
At top speed. Yeah,
At,
it's like
yeah.
children can do this exercise, Poppy. Children have done this exercise. It's such a brilliant dark line. I love it. There's so many layers to that bit.
Great little montage. Poppy campaigning, Poppy trying to reach out to the community of possums, Poppy training, Poppy becoming more and more involved with Kit, uh, Lily's drawings getting better and
Better.
better.
And Kit having less and less time. Let's take a bit of a break here because I need to step away for just a second. We're back.
Yes, page 17 of issue 7. And Poppy is doing a meeting, which brings a whole lot of creatures throughout the city together, including some of the gang members. Including the giant cat lady.
Who Poppy remembers from the shape and heft of her tits,
Yeah,
which is really funny. That's how she remembers that lady because that's all she saw of that lady.
it's just huge tits,
Big women,
big women.
We're really leaning in on the lesbianism angle here in the story as time goes on, which I like.
Yeah,
Page 18, Poppy says, "Your pride isn't worth jack. Pride is what leads to petty squabbles, broken childhoods, and watching your best friends burn to death in the embers of a pointless revolution." Dark.
Poppy is an ex-revolutionary. She also has her fangs very visible and very menacingly drawn in that panel.
Yeah, it's a cute touch in Everett's art style that the meaner and more real somebody has to be, the more they look like an animal and less like a cute cartoon.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
yeah.
And on page 19 and 20, we meet a new candidate for the best character in the whole comic, Harry Hopperfield, at your service.
Harry Hopperfield.
My only notes here are Harry Hopperfield, I have just met you and I love you. In all capitals.
Even in this, the last real chapter of the comic, we have introduced a new character with an amazing design, Only
And
now I realize,
an amazing gimmick because he's a stage magician and not a wizard.
but also a wizard.
He's also a wizard.
He's a wizard who's also a stage magician.
Poppy, don't clap. He's just doing basic witchcraft. Oh, what's this? Someone should do a better job cleaning behind her ears.
It pulls
She
out.
got an impossum, but that's so possible.
That's so possible.
I was like, this one panel made me laugh harder than anything else in the story has so far.
Oh, he's a fucking rabbit. That's why he digs holes.
He also tries to drop some lore on Poppy on that page, and she just says, "Oh no, shut up! I don't really care." But good news. I'm sorry, good news. The other best character in the comic returns.
You La La has a talk show. The comic, again, the compression is getting harder. Most of these scenes are 2 or 3 pages, and we're covering a lot in all of them.
Yeah, which this is actually something I should mention. This is at least something that I do when I try to write stories. In my opinion, for a comic, a good story beat is 4 pages.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's not standard. That's just how I do it. I try to not have a story beat go on for much longer than 4 pages if it doesn't have to. And also, if I can't fill 4 pages with a story beat, it should probably be secondary, like side detail or something like that. And that's actually about the pace that Poppy 7 is going at. So it didn't seem all that weird to me.
Yeah.
But I can't deny that it was accelerated. Like the Ulala section is only 2 pages long.
Yeah, it's not that it's weird, it's that it's something I noticed.
Yeah.
Like, it's good. I think the pacing in this chapter feels where it should have been at a couple of the other stories.
Uh-huh.
But we also this is it. This is the last full comic chapter.
Talia has a bit of a nerd out moment about architecture. Friedrich is babysitting a bunch of mice. Like as this goes on, it just feels like I'm rattling stuff off a list, which I can't help but feel like this may have been written as an outline first and then never finalized into a script. Because it really does feel like I'm reading an outline of plot points at this stage.
Yeah, exactly. I started having less and less notes here because there are less illustrated details, and all of a sudden, plot just intrudes after, like, we have montages establishing the development of all this stuff.
Montage.
And it's kind of funny because we had a montage earlier that kind of got us to the same place.
Yeah.
And then we get another one that just establishes we're still in that place.
Yeah, we don't really get to anything important until page 30, where Fern, who's one of the possums we saw back in chapter 3, her husband's been kidnapped. And she specifically tells Poppy to read a letter, but not read it aloud. What's explained here is that Arthur Ciccadino's lucky star power is that he will listen to things or objects that he has touched can become ears for him, which has been foreshadowed way earlier, although the specifics of how it worked were not told until right now.
It's also, I liked that too, because it sort of implied he had some sort of psychic power or whatever, and I like that it's a very JoJo-esque, like, hey, this thing that seems pretty innocuous is actually terrifyingly powerful.
He has the little birdie room full of people typing things on papers and putting them in boxes, which I thought was a very cute and equally menacing term for it. Oh, a little birdie told me this. A little birdie told me that. A little birdie told me exactly where your husband is, and if you try to get out from under my grip, I'll just send you his ears in a box.
Yes, we get more establishing stuff. There's so much establishing stuff in this chapter. God.
Awful lot of stuff gets established here, which is a huge drag. Friedrich correctly deduces that Kit Darling is the person who's receiving the illegal shipments in the first place, which we knew that. But here he finally puts together a couple of big pieces that we probably haven't put together. The tank was emptied because it's meant to be storing all that blood.
And while this is a big text dump of all of them, that establishes a bunch of stuff that we kind of didn't... That's what's extra frustrating about the interstitial chapter is all of the important stuff in that interstitial was just covered there. And as much as that was just a big text dump, it also diegetically fit more. Both Friedrich and Poppy spring into action to try and essentially fix everything while most of the castle is under the control of Chickadino.
So where is it? Page issue 7, page 36. Poppy confronts Kit about the crisis, but that's actually not the important thing here. I want to read the author's note on page 36 of issue 7. A very real issue that must be confronted is my declining motivation regarding working on Poppy as a comic and, in general, doing art as a career. Drawing comics was, frankly, never really my passion. I had never once before Poppy drawn more than a page or two of comic for myself before giving up out of disinterest. I do enjoy storytelling. I enjoy writing, but I don't actually care for art all that much outside of the character designing process. Over the past few years, Poppy has gone from a fun project I started to push myself to improve to an obligation that I sort of resent but keep doing because it covers my bills. You know, a job. Except jobs don't usually entail people on the internet sending you death threats or making up rumors about you because your work ethic's bad or they don't like which one of your characters is kissing another. End quote. That's horrible.
Yes.
That's burnout. That's burnout and a this would have been released in like 2017. The comic was made in a in still in the throes of some truly vile periods for capital F fandoms. Like
Yeah.
Gamergate was still recent, Kiwi Farms was still around, Trump was president. It's not hard to imagine how unpleasant things got over how petty things were.
I think it's also important to point out that this was also the height of like sort of a lot of the Tumblr wars. Like a lot
Yeah.
of the fandom wars where like it wasn't because yeah, there was all of the right wing stuff, but there was also the arguments over stuff like, okay, what is the ethical morality of Steven Universe? Right?
Yeah.
Like that kind of thing. Like
Yeah.
is this a thing like there was so much about that, and there was so like
A story depicts murder, therefore it endorses murder, and just crazy takes
yeah,
like that.
and or the story doesn't endorse murder enough, or like there were layers to this, and I would acknowledge I kind of sucked during this era. I wouldn't send fucking anything to the creators though. God,
No,
fuck.
no, no. Threats are always unacceptable.
Yeah, but yeah, it sounds like burnout. It is maybe this feels really sad because seeing the previous pages, that doesn't look like somebody who I shouldn't speculate, but like God, there was so much passion for it early on.
Yeah, but I can also tell that Everett is a character designer first, and maybe a writer second, and probably doesn't enjoy writing comics as much as they would just designing characters. Designing characters is clearly their favorite part of this. Designing new
Yeah,
people, designing new ideas and concepts. But actually tying them all together into a cogent narrative is a fuck ton of work. It can't be overstated how much work it would be to make a comic like Poppy Opossum. Even if you had a team of 5 people, just diffused across different tasks and different roles, it would still take years. It's amazing that they got this far, and I don't feel bad that they stopped. I wish they could have stopped under calmer and more pleasant reasons, but if they were not happy doing this, then they should have stopped. That was correct. That was the correct thing to do. Like my desire to finish this comic does not trump their need to be happy and healthy.
this is unusual in that we have so many details about why they stopped, though.
Yeah.
A lot of comics don't have that. A lot of comics just stop updating one day and the creator disappears from the internet. We're still only 25% of the way through the story.
What? Where'd you see
Yeah.
that?
That's at the bottom of the long thing that they wrote. Like
It is? We're only
yeah,
20%. Oh my god.
yeah.
Uh yeah,
That
yeah, there was so
that's
if they did keep pace, if they did finish in 2018, Poppy Opossum would have taken 15 more years to wrap up. No, that was probably not going to happen no matter what.
yeah. I would have thought we were at the midpoint of the story.
I would too. It's a surprise.
Because we
Uh,
are moving towards the turn where like, oh, and here's all the
this
stuff.
this this feels like an Act 2 twist. Yeah.
I'm sort of inclining because I know we've gone on for a while, but moving through some of this quickly because that's kind of what the comic is feeling like at this point.
Yeah, the revelation is that Chickadino, because he's signed off on all the deals for the Dragon Blood supply, he is listening to the entire city's electrical grid. So now he essentially controls the government because he has a credible way to accuse Friedrich of regicide or conspiracy. Friedrich goes to town, having enchanted every single blade in the armory to work for him. Uh, in one of the raddest fight sequences in the series. And there's a lot of like casual artistic nudity between Kit and Poppy here, which this much of it I feel like was intentionally put in the story to upset readers who didn't like this ship.
Poppy and Kit are coming to a thing because they're both of them were sort of using the other, but also that developed into an actual relationship at the same time.
Poppy wanted somebody to take care of Lily because Poppy's got 6 more years in her tops. Kit wanted someone to lean on, but again, just being able to see somebody's face doesn't mean you can trust them. That's not enough.
We get really lots of really rad fight scenes.
And there's this fun shot at the end of at the end of page 46 where he can hear everybody's thoughts or everybody's audio in the back of his head. He hears Kit intending to confess everything that happened between her and him, but there's also one where you could see someone is screaming, "Mary, put down the gun!" Fine. And that is the last we ever hear of Mary Moonshine, the best character in fiction.
Yeah.
Damn. Kit is heading home to try and cure her dad and confess at the same time. Chickadino basically has complete run of the castle and the government. Friedrich's under arrest and being shipped off somewhere. And Poppy Opossum has a hit put out on her life. That's the end of that's page 50. And that's quote unquote it for Poppy as a comic. After this, it becomes text and illustrated prose. Here endeth the visuals. And I want to say, bravo. Bravo. This is better than many comics ever dream of being. And I'm so sorry art didn't work out for you as much as you would have wanted. And you're not wrong to want to stop.
Yeah.
My ears bow to Everett. Excellent.
Yes. Just incredible. Incredible comic.
As we go into chapter 8, these are chapter 8 Misdirection is written basically as like an illustrated novel with small like interstitial illustrations.
There is a paragraph here that I just copied outright that I thought was also they brought because Boris is watching a cartoon and is disappointed with a reboot. And Poppy says, "Look, Boris," she placed a head at his shoulder, "we're all dealing with jarring changes right now. Sure, it's a big pain, but sometimes you have to make a compromise if you want something important to you to continue. And hey, there's some advantage. If it wasn't for the format changes,
this entire scene would have been cut for time.
Even you'd only show up for one panel as a plot device."
Hey! So what really do we learn here? We learn that Chickadino has known about the Spectre of Fate for a long, long time, and Friedrich is put through an elaborate torture scheme by a pair of cats named Kurosukuro and Chirashiro, which is an adorable pair of names. I like the puns there, but like this leads us into some pure Clive Barker shit. There's several pages dedicated to this torture sequence and all the wonderful ramifications of it. They transfer his consciousness into a dummy body called Mr. Moxie, who can only feel pain. Looks like a fucking Five Nights at Freddy's monster.
Yeah, and that because his consciousness is the body, he feels everything.
He feels everything, even the arm that he doesn't have anymore. He feels it crumple to pieces underneath their weight. Oh, it's sickening. It's a shame that like this won't go anywhere.
Yeah. There were a lot of comments about, oh, you don't want to just see pages of people talking. And it's like, there were times when pages of people talking worked really well in this comic.
The facial expressions make that work. I had no complaints about those.
Yeah, but also...
I understand that talking heads is something you try to avoid in comics because, it's a visual medium. But like an awful lot of human interaction is talking heads.
We get a lot of very striking individual images, though. But yeah, a lot of this just is like, oh, this is wrapping up. We're setting and raising stakes that will not be resolved.
And then we get into the fight scene between Petunia and Poppy, which is really the only thing that got illustrated to any extent in this piece.
Yeah.
I feel like Everett probably wanted to illustrate this more than anything else. It just looks really cool. There's action lines, there's flow lines, there's incredible, like there's a great double page spread of Petunia with the conjured arms and the mandala. That also especially made me think a lot of Asura's Wrath,
Yeah.
the video game. If you ever saw that, the incredible dynamism that they use with lots of Hindu mythology. But it gets ground to a halt because Arthur, or no, not Arthur. What's his name? Alvis, Mr. Quibble
Mr.
intervenes.
Quibble intervenes
Yeah.
right as Poppy's heart is giving out.
Yeah, and Petunia ends up slashing him accidentally, but slashing him in the exact same way her mother did on the other cheek, which I thought was quite apropos. But that does feel like a story beat that should have come much later for some reason. I can't tell you why exactly, but
Yeah.
it doesn't the timing of this fight scene doesn't feel right. I feel like Petunia would give Poppy a bit more trust than this, than hauling off
Yeah.
and working
It's
for Chickadino.
it feels like this was a scene that was definitely in Everett's head, would be my guess.
Yeah,
Not
but I
to
feel like
speculate.
it may have been moved.
It would have made more sense for Petunia to maybe hunt Poppy for a while, or like try to seek out Poppy for some reason, or get her when she tried to
Maybe.
go back to the city. There's a lot of configurations of how this could have played out, because essentially she views Poppy as a threat to her stability.
There's a bit of a thing here between Chickadino and Poda.
Yeah,
Then they end up working on the same side because Poda becomes convinced that Chickadino is an agent of fate.
I'm not, and I'm still not sure if it would not shock me if the twist is that Chickadino isn't. He just has enough information to seem like he is.
Yeah, which
Uh,
I feel like that might be the angle. And that is our final page. Our last shot is of Chickadino, Renard, and a Lion King, a
yeah, the
literal Lion
previous
King.
actual king. It seems like Renard maybe overthrew this guy, but we don't know.
That is the end of Poppy Opossum. It does not continue beyond Twitter ephemera, which I believe you have for us.
I have quite a bit of Twitter ephemera. Yes,
You've done quite a good bit of work collecting all this. Thank you.
yes. I tried my fucking damnedest to find as much of it. Generally, the arc, from the details I can figure out, is that a bunch of people were gonna die.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, probably Kit. I think Kit would have died because I noticed Poppy was on the run for regicide. There might be something definitive. You can't search Twitter. This was all stuff that I dug up from Reddit and Google.
Yeah, Kit has some death flags on her at the moment.
Yeah, like, hey, once we get through this, everything will be okay. I just have to tell all the people the things and it'll all be good. So
Yeah,
obviously she can't do that.
yeah, no, and also her family do not see possums as people. The idea that they would stand up to her, that they would accept her dating a possum, is ridiculous.
I do absolutely know several details. Friedrich was gonna die. In one of the April Fool's things, it says that the entire cast will be replaced with cute robots. And in case you noticed that Friedrich's was way more detailed, that's because Friedrich's astral projection was going to allow him to have a more perfect cop like soul to put into a mechanical body.
Well, that's
And
sick as hell.
Yeah, Friedrich is going to be a robot.
Robo Friedrich.
Yeah, that would have been really cool. Mary is, I forget the exact term, but one of the super magic ladies who's important to everything. It is
She just
actually
is. It's just her. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just her. She is not the descendant of this person. She is that person.
Oh, that's
She
fun.
Yeah, she's one of the allusions to this, and this is also one of the actual cuter details from digging into this, is that the veil is like both a place and a group, and it's because the world. Yeah, Flora is a flat planet that was turned into a sphere to imprison an evil deity within it, and all of the people there are kind of collateral. I believe that is the Hand of Fate, who has a sick fucking design.
Like originally, it was just going to have a like scraggly like animal teeth, but then Everett realized that having extremely symmetrical human teeth was actually creepier somehow.
And yeah, essentially the arc was eventually going to be Poppy has to confront this thing. And I presume it has something to do with, would not shock me if it's because possums are not magical, which again, the upside down thing, remember that. So possums are not magical, but even though this world doesn't use physics like we think it does, down is always the same.
Like, you always are pulled towards the earth.
The purple is a magically created sky, so you don't realize you're inside the world, basically. Because it's a hollow. I forget which side it is, but it's one side or the other. The blue side of the veil is the real side. The reason Possums work upside down is because everyone's oriented towards what we're meant to be. Possums, who are not affected by the ancient, we're not affected by the of our main world, instead are all
And possums are pulled towards the earth.
You're losing me here, honey.
Sorry,
God, I'm not really sure where we're going with this.
Okay,
do you know how the story was meant to end?
That's the trick. It seems that Poppy was supposed to confront the Hand of Fate. I'm trying to explain. Yes, apologies for trying to explain the incredibly complicated and convoluted physics.
You're trying to explain something that didn't actually get written. It's okay if there are gaps.
Yeah, there are a lot of gaps, and I will say that the last couple pieces of Poppy art that Everett has put out, which did get put out this year, were of Mary.
So it's time to conclude, I guess, since we normally at this point in our format we would extrapolate to where the comic could go, but we were specifically told where the comic would go.
Yeah,
which is we should enjoy that. That's a luxury we won't usually have.
Oh, absolutely. There's so many comics that we'll never know where they would have gone.
So Poppy Opossum, I am sad that the author had to duck out of it for their own reasons. I'm sad that they had a fan base that apparently was supportive of them, but like that they also had to put up with fan backlash in the time period they were making it. It's one of those things where like I can't rescue every darling project that I want to read. I don't have money. I don't have time. And it's okay that some things don't make it. But wow, I do hurt that this one didn't.
What a hell of a comic. What a hell of a comic.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
That they weren't a comic artist at first, which you can tell kind of in the way they laid out their pages, how they struggled to communicate hits in that very first issue, and how that dropped away immediately. They just got it like in a snap.
I'm floored. I think what I'm actually probably the most sad about isn't that this didn't finish, but this seems to have. There was sort of a follow-up. There was like a second comic they did, but that hasn't been updated.
Yeah, but that appears to have burnt them out just as bad. And I'm just sorry that Morby had to go through all of that.
It's horrible.
As someone who also has burnt out before, like a lot, I feel it. But that's the time period. This is what I would call not a late period webcomic. I'd call it like a middle period webcomic, because like the webcomic era is still going on, but it's now consolidated onto platforms like Webtoon. It's unusual to see comics with their own websites these days.
This is one of the last gasps of this sort of older format. But like, yeah, this was after the initial super amateur stuff into the professionals who are trying to do something.
But we will discuss that more as we go on. I take it you liked this one.
I fucking loved this one. No, I mean, I just think it's a staggering accomplishment. So much of it happened in so short a time frame, too.
Yeah.
Like, the first 3 years are maybe the most intense work I can think of for a webcomic. Like, almost always full color, super complex backgrounds.
Year one on its own was insane.
Yeah, incredibly complex backgrounds, complex character designs, a story that might be overambitious, but it was overambitious because like delivering everything was going to be hard. All of the setup was shocking. Like there's a lot of criticism that could potentially be made of like it's holding back stuff and its little setups, but
yeah, like Everett demonstrated that every time they did get to pull off a payoff, they did it.
Yeah, and
anytime that they got a chance to land the hit that they set up a few chapters before, they did it successfully, and it's cool.
so much of this is so beyond what I expect. It's stunning. It's just a stunning work of art.
I can't wait for whatever we discuss next to be a huge disappointment.
Yes,
by
yeah,
comparison.
it's gonna be a real down.
I'm
Probably.
kidding. There's something good to see in every webcomic. It's just that we started off on a real high.
We just shared one of the best webcomics, maybe even best comics I've ever read. Oops.
As one does. So where do we go from here? You want to talk about Problem Sleuth?
Problem Sleuth would be fantastic.
I think it might have to be Problem
I
Sleuth.
think Problem Sleuth makes too much sense.
That's the one that sticks out to me. Ooh,
Yeah.
baby.
Yeah, let's do Problem Sleuth.
You got it. That's
Yeah.
cool. I love that rousing debate we had. Okay,
Yeah.
folks. See y'all next
See you
time.
next time.
You can find me at Cups of Jade at most places.
You can find me at Automatic Tiger most places, but most especially co-host.
All right. We will see you then.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Bye.